Behind palace walls, inheritance is never just about property. It is about trust, memory, and lasting allegiance. Lady Louise Windsor, the late Queen's quietly devoted granddaughter, has just become the unexpected center of a royal storm. Ray Mill House, a deeply personal residence tied to legacy and loyalty, has reportedly been left to her. In a stunning development, Queen Camilla is completely cut out of the will. No shared claim, no quiet compromise. So, what does this decision reveal about private bonds, unspoken tensions, and the true inner circle of the monarchy? This is the story. A gift beyond walls. When Queen Elizabeth II's will began to unfold, one detail quietly captured attention across the royal world. Tucked within the vast Balmoral estate was a personal cottage that the late monarch chose to leave to Lady Louise Windsor. At first glance, it may have seemed like a simple transfer of property, but within the royal family, nothing is ever just about bricks and mortar. This particular gift carried a meaning far deeper than its walls and windows. Balmoral itself has always been more than a countryside retreat. It was the Queen's sanctuary, the place where she felt most at peace, surrounded by rolling hills, quiet forests, and the steady rhythm of Scottish life. It was where she laughed with her family, walked her dogs, and escaped the constant glare of public duty. To own a piece of Balmoral is to hold a piece of her most private world, and among all those who might have been considered, she chose Lady Louise. Was not part of the grand formal settings used for state visits or official gatherings. Instead, it represented intimacy, simplicity, and family moments away from cameras. By leaving it to Louise, the Queen was doing more than distributing assets. She was extending trust. Lady Louise, known for her quiet nature and grounded upbringing, had always maintained a low profile. She did not chase headlines or seek public attention. In many ways, she embodied the calm and steady qualities that Queen Elizabeth admired. While the monarchy includes many grandchildren and great-grandchildren, as well as senior working royals and even the new Queen consort, it was Louise who received this deeply personal gift. That choice spoke volumes. In royal life, gestures often carry layers of meaning. Public honors can be symbolic, but private inheritances are deeply personal. To be given property from the Queen's own estate suggests a bond built on affection and confidence. It signals that the recipient is part of an inner circle shaped not by titles alone, but by loyalty and shared values. For observers, the decision raised questions about relationships within the family. Why Louise? What did this choice reveal about the Queen's private feelings? While only the late monarch knew her full reasoning, one thing is clear: such a gift is rarely casual. It reflects warmth, appreciation, and perhaps even a desire to ensure that a trusted granddaughter would always have a place connected to her grandmother's happiest memories. In the end, the cottage at Balmoral stands as more than property. It stands as a symbol of personal regard. In a family defined by duty and tradition, Queen Elizabeth's choice revealed something simpler and more human: her heart. Lady Louise was bestowed Ray Mill House by Queen Elizabeth, a decision that shocked many within the royal circle. But why was the residence not transferred to the current Queen consort? And what does this reveal about trust and loyalty within the royal family? Let's uncover the details. Camilla completely excluded. One of the most talked about details in this inheritance was not only who received the gift, but who did not. Missing from this deeply personal gesture was Queen Camilla, the current Queen consort. As the wife of the reigning monarch and a senior figure within the royal household, Camilla holds an important public position. She has access to grand residences, historic estates, and the privileges that come with her role. Yet when it came to this private cottage, her name was not included. At first glance, that absence may seem surprising. After all, Camilla now stands beside the king at the center of royal life. However, a will is not a public ceremony or a political statement. It is a deeply personal document. It reflects private emotions, individual memories, and the quiet bonds formed away from cameras and official duties. In this case, Queen Elizabeth's decision appeared to be guided less by rank and more by personal connection. Throughout her reign, Elizabeth was known for her strong sense of duty. She respected tradition and understood the weight of the crown. But she was also a grandmother, a mother, and a woman with her own feelings and preferences. When deciding how to distribute her personal property, she was not required to follow the royal hierarchy. Instead, she had the freedom to act according to her heart. Royal insiders often say that private inheritances reveal truths that public appearances cannot. On balconies and at state banquets, the royal family stands united. Smiles are shared, hands are waved, and unity is displayed for the world to see. Behind closed doors, however, relationships are more complex. Affection, trust, shared experiences, and personal history shape bonds in ways that the public rarely witnesses. The fact that Camilla was not included in this particular bequest does not strip her of status or authority. She remains queen consort with all the recognition that title carries. Yet this moment highlights an important distinction between official role and personal closeness. A title may define one's place in the institution, but it does not automatically guarantee a place in someone's private affections. In royal families, as in any family, loyalty is remembered. Shared moments matter. Quiet support, consistency, and trust often leave lasting impressions. The Queen's will, in its quiet way, seemed to underline these truths. It suggested that when it came to her most personal spaces and cherished properties, she chose to honor those she felt closest to on a deeply human level. In the end, the absence of Camilla's name from this inheritance says less about protocol and more about personality. It offers a rare glimpse behind palace walls, where decisions are shaped not only by crowns and ceremonies, but by emotion, memory, and the bonds that truly endure. Beyond Camilla being sidelined from the Queen's inheritance, an important question remains. Why did the Queen treasure Lady Louise so deeply? And what sparked the strong affection between Lady Louise and her grandmother? Now, let's explore a grandmother's quiet devotion. A special bond. Among Queen Elizabeth II's many grandchildren, Lady Louise Windsor held a place that was quietly special. As the second youngest grandchild, Louise grew up at a time when the Queen was already a seasoned monarch and a more relaxed grandmother. By then, Elizabeth had experienced decades on the throne, countless public duties, and the joys and trials of a large family. With Louise, her relationship felt softer, more personal, and deeply affectionate. From the very start, Louise's life was not without challenges. She was born prematurely and faced health difficulties in her early years, including a condition affecting her eyesight that required careful medical attention. For any grandparent, seeing a young child struggle can create a powerful bond of protectiveness and tenderness. For the Queen and Prince Philip, those early concerns seem to have drawn them even closer to their young granddaughter. She was not simply another member of the royal line. She was a child they worried about, prayed for, and quietly cherished. Louise was also younger than many of her cousins, which naturally shaped her place within the family. While the older grandchildren were stepping into public roles and growing up under brighter media attention, Louise's childhood unfolded more gently. This age gap may have allowed the Queen to spend more focused time with her, especially during family gatherings at Balmoral and Windsor. In those private settings, away from cameras and official ceremonies, a different kind of relationship could flourish. Unlike the grand pageantry of state events, the bond between the Queen and Louise was built on small, meaningful moments. It was seen in shared smiles, quiet conversations, and simple family traditions. Prince Philip, known for his love of carriage driving, famously passed that passion on to Louise. The Queen watched with pride as her granddaughter embraced the hobby with dedication and skill. These shared interests and family rituals strengthened the sense of closeness between them. What made this relationship stand out was that it went beyond formal duty. The Queen was not acting as a monarch when she showed affection to Louise. She was acting as a grandmother. Her care was genuine and personal. She valued Louise's calm nature, modesty, and thoughtful character. In a family often surrounded by intense public scrutiny, Louise's quiet strength may have felt especially reassuring. This deep connection offers insight into why Louise later received such a meaningful gift from the Queen's private estate. The inheritance was not simply a matter of distribution. It was a reflection of a bond formed through years of shared experience and heartfelt affection. In choosing Louise, the Queen seemed to honor not just a granddaughter, but a relationship rooted in love, concern, and unwavering family devotion. At the beginning of Louise's life, she faced significant health challenges, which led the Queen to give her special attention, a favor that extended to the gift of a cottage at Balmoral Castle. But what does Balmoral Castle really look like? And what is the value of this extraordinary gift? Let's find out. The Queen's private Highland sanctuary. Hidden among the rolling hills of Aberdeenshire in Scotland stands Balmoral Castle, a place that feels almost untouched by time. Spread across nearly 50,000 acres of sweeping moorland, ancient forests, winding rivers, and quiet valleys, the estate is vast enough to feel like its own private world. To many people, it looks like just another royal palace, grand and historic. But Balmoral is different. Unlike Buckingham Palace or Windsor Castle, it is not owned by the state. It has always been a deeply personal possession of the royal family. The story of Balmoral's private ownership dates back to 1852, when Queen Victoria and her husband, Prince Albert, fell in love with the Scottish Highlands. Seeking escape from the pressures of court life, they purchased the estate with their own money. It was not a government gift or a public asset. It was a private choice, made for peace, family, and freedom. From that moment on, Balmoral became something unique within the monarchy, a home that belonged to the sovereign personally, not to the crown. This tradition of personal ownership continued through generations, including Queen Elizabeth II. Because Balmoral was hers privately, she held complete authority over how it was used and who would inherit parts of it. Decisions about the estate were not bound by parliamentary rules or public expectations. They were guided by her own wishes, shaped by her memories and relationships. For Queen Elizabeth, Balmoral was more than a grand residence. It was her sanctuary. Each summer, she retreated there with her family, exchanging formal gowns and state papers for headscarves, walking boots, and quiet country routines. It was at Balmoral that she could ride horses, walk her beloved dogs, and host barbecues without the same weight of ceremony. In this remote corner of Scotland, the monarch became a mother, a grandmother, and simply Lilibet to those closest to her. The landscape itself added to the magic of the place. The fresh Highland air, the sound of rivers rushing over stones, and the endless stretch of purple heather created a sense of calm rarely found in royal life. Children climbed hills, grandchildren explored the grounds, and evenings were spent sharing simple meals. Balmoral offered space not just in miles, but in spirit. Because of this, Balmoral came to symbolize something rare within the monarchy: intimacy and personal freedom. It was where titles mattered less and relationships mattered more. It was where traditions were passed down quietly, through shared experiences rather than public announcements. In many ways, Balmoral represents the heart of the royal family's private life. It stands as a reminder that behind crowns and ceremonies, there is a family seeking the same comforts as any other. For Queen Elizabeth, it was the place where duty paused and family began. Balmoral Castle's history is not limited to Queen Elizabeth. It is a living legacy of the monarchy. But how can we best describe the lady who now owns the castle? What story shaped her entry into the royal family? Could her personal history have influenced her inheritance? Let's uncover the details. Lady Louise Windsor. Born on November 8, 2003, as Louise Alice Elizabeth Mary Mountbatten Windsor, Lady Louise entered the world under delicate circumstances. Arriving 8 weeks early, her birth was premature, and she faced immediate health challenges. During her first year, she required corrective surgery for esotropia, a condition in which one eye turns inward. These early trials could have made life daunting for any child, yet they shaped her resilience and quietly drew her closer to her family, particularly her parents, Prince Edward, Duke of Edinburgh, and Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh. Louise grew up in a household widely recognized for its grounded and private nature. Unlike some members of the royal family who were constantly in the public eye, her parents emphasized family life, shared values, and normal routines over pomp and spectacle. From an early age, Louise witnessed the importance of humility, discretion, and quiet dedication, qualities that would later define her own approach to life. This environment offered her a rare blend of royal privilege and ordinary childhood experiences, nurturing a sense of balance that few in her position enjoy. When the question of her royal title arose, Louise made a conscious choice. She could have been styled as Her Royal Highness Princess Louise, embracing a role that would inevitably place her under intense public scrutiny. Instead, she opted to be known simply as Lady Louise, a decision that reflected her desire for privacy and her wish to lead a life as close to normal as possible. This choice sent a clear message. Her priorities were personal fulfillment, family, and self-directed growth, rather than public attention or royal glamour. Lady Louise's life reflects the values her grandmother cherished: discretion, dedication, and quiet responsibility. She approaches her studies with seriousness, showing a commitment to learning and self-growth far beyond public attention. Her love of horseback riding keeps her connected to tradition, the outdoors, and skills that cultivate poise and independence. Equally meaningful is her carriage driving, a pastime taught by her late grandfather, Prince Philip, which strengthened their bond and honored his memory. Through these pursuits, Louise demonstrates a rare balance of personal development, loyalty to family traditions, and humble devotion, embodying the very essence of royal dignity. Throughout her upbringing, Lady Louise's choices, her discretion, low-profile public presence, and quiet adherence to family values embody exactly the qualities that Queen Elizabeth II held in highest regard. She has cultivated a life defined by thoughtfulness, respect for privacy, and a deep sense of duty, establishing herself as a young royal who honors tradition while remaining grounded, humble, and genuinely relatable. Lady Louise faced challenges from the very beginning of her life and was adored by the Queen for her resilience. But did her character also win the heart of her grandfather? Could this be why the couple chose her to inherit the castle? Now let's dive into the granddaughter's devotion. Loyalty and quiet dignity. Of the most cherished aspects of their relationship was carriage driving, a pastime Prince Philip adored in his later years. Recognizing her curiosity and determination, he personally took the time to teach Louise the intricate skills required to master the carriage, from controlling the horses to navigating the precise steps of this traditional royal pursuit. Through these lessons, Philip imparted more than technical knowledge. He passed down a sense of patience, discipline, and a love for tradition that would leave a lasting impression on Louise. Their bond went far beyond the surface of family affection. Prince Philip's stern exterior was tempered with a deep appreciation for those who shared his values of loyalty, diligence, and quiet perseverance, and he saw these qualities reflected in Louise. She, in turn, responded with respect, attentiveness, and a willingness to embrace the lessons he offered, demonstrating a maturity that belied her years. Their connection was an unspoken understanding, a mutual recognition of dedication and the importance of family heritage. This profound relationship was dramatically showcased in April 2021, following Prince Philip's passing. At just 17 years old, Louise was entrusted with a deeply symbolic task, driving his carriage during his funeral procession. In a gesture that combined both reverence and responsibility, she ensured that the carriage, so beloved by her grandfather, would not remain empty, preserving his memory in a highly visible yet deeply personal way. Dressed in solemn black and performing her role with quiet precision, Louise's presence was more than ceremonial. It was a living tribute to Philip's legacy and the lessons he had instilled in her. Queen Elizabeth II watched with quiet admiration as Lady Louise carried out her thoughtful tribute, feeling great personal pride. Every gesture reflected the values the Queen cherished most: loyal devotion to family, graceful discretion, and selfless service without seeking praise or recognition. By honoring Prince Philip with such care, Louise displayed a remarkable blend of personal integrity and familial responsibility, perfectly balancing private respect with public tradition. Her actions embodied the very principles Elizabeth had long championed, reinforcing the enduring importance of loyalty, dignity, and quiet commitment within the royal family. Of respect, they reflected a character of respect. They reflected a character shaped by dedication, tradition, and love, embodying exactly the qualities that Queen Elizabeth sought to encourage in the next generation of her family. Lady Louise emerged not just as a dutiful granddaughter, but as a young royal whose values reflected the very heart of the monarchy itself. But did other family members support the inheritance given to Lady Louise? And how was it ensured that the young royal would not be denied this precious gift? Let's find out. Lady Louise's legacy and the Balmoral cottage. Following the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, the Balmoral estate passed into the personal ownership of King Charles III, making any decisions about its properties subject to the oversight and consent of senior members of the royal family. Among these decisions was the inheritance of a cherished cottage within Balmoral, a property personally gifted by the late Queen to her granddaughter, Lady Louise Windsor. Ensuring that this bequest was honored fell to Prince William, the Prince of Wales, who took a direct and active role in safeguarding Louise's inheritance. William's involvement went beyond mere approval. He carefully monitored the legal and practical steps needed to guarantee that Louise would receive the cottage exactly as intended. In a family often defined by complex dynamics and delicate relationships, this intervention sent a clear message: loyalty, discretion, and quiet service are recognized and rewarded. For younger royals who maintain privacy, uphold tradition, and serve the family without seeking public attention, such acknowledgement carries profound meaning. It reflects not only William's respect for his grandmother's wishes, but also his vision for the monarchy under his eventual reign, a monarchy that values integrity, dedication, and responsibility above spectacle. At 22, Lady Louise Windsor is currently pursuing an English degree at the University of St. Andrews, the very same institution where Prince William met Kate Middleton. Her life is at a crossroads, presenting choices that will shape both her personal path and her role within the royal family. She may continue to live a largely private life, following the example of her parents and grandmother, or she may step into more public royal duties, contributing to the ongoing transition of the monarchy under King Charles and William. The Balmoral cottage is far more than a home. It is a symbol of recognition, trust, and secure placement within the royal family's inner circle. It represents a tangible link between Queen Elizabeth's personal legacy and the evolving future of the monarchy, a connection that honors loyalty, discretion, and devotion. For Louise, this property is not merely stone and timber. It is an emblem of the values her grandmother cherished, and a marker of her emerging role as a young royal who embodies those principles. In many ways, the cottage serves as both a bridge and a beacon. It links the Queen's private affections with the strategic shaping of the monarchy's next generation. It highlights the enduring importance of family trust, the quiet influence of those who serve faithfully behind the scenes, and the careful nurturing of loyalty that will define the monarchy for years to come. Lady Louise Windsor, through this gift and her own character, stands poised to carry forward these ideals, blending personal integrity with a lasting legacy in the British royal family. King Charles and Prince William not only supported Queen Elizabeth's decision to gift Balmoral Castle to Lady Louise, but they also helped her protect it. But what does giving Lady Louise Balmoral Castle truly mean for the monarchy? Now, let's explore how a cottage reveals the private heart of the monarchy. Balmoral's hidden legacy. At the center of this remarkable story is a truth that often goes unnoticed by the public. For all its grandeur, ceremony, and global fascination, the British monarchy is fundamentally shaped by personal bonds, loyalty, and trust. Behind the crowns, scepters, and state events, the royal family operates through relationships that carry as much weight as official titles. Balmoral Castle, nestled in the sweeping landscapes of Aberdeenshire, Scotland, is a perfect reflection of this intimate side of royal life. While the world sees the Queen and her family in formal settings, Balmoral has long served as a sanctuary, a place where royals can set aside protocol, politics, and public duties, and simply be family. Queen Elizabeth II's choice to leave a personal cottage on the Balmoral estate to Lady Louise Windsor was far more than a gesture of generosity. It was a deeply meaningful signal of trust, affection, and recognition. In a family where titles, appearances, and formal obligations often dominate, this decision spoke volumes. The cottage is not merely a building or a plot of land. It embodies the values the Queen held most dear: discretion, devotion, and unwavering loyalty. By giving Louise such a personal and private gift, the late monarch publicly affirmed who among her grandchildren truly reflected the qualities she cherished. It was an act that communicated more than words could ever express, sending a clear message about which members of her family she trusted, admired, and held close to her heart. As the monarchy continues to transition under King Charles III and Prince William, Lady Louise's place within this evolving family structure takes on even greater significance. The cottage is a tangible bridge linking Queen Elizabeth's long and storied reign to the new era ahead. It is a connection to a grandmother who valued service, family, and dedication above all else. In a family often scrutinized by the world, this property quietly represents continuity, respect, and personal bonds that endure beyond public perception. More than just walls of stone, timber, and sprawling land, the Balmoral cottage embodies a legacy of love, loyalty, and trust that runs deep within the royal family. It is a quiet testament to the human side of royalty, a life often defined by ceremony, rules, and public expectation, yet also shaped by private affection and steadfast values. For Lady Louise, this cottage is far more than a home. It marks her special place in the family, a recognition from a grandmother who truly understood her heart, her character, and her devotion. At its core, the gift of the Balmoral cottage is much more than a piece of property. It is a powerful symbol of the hidden truths, deep loyalties, and genuine affections that quietly shape the British royal family. This personal gesture connects past and future, proving that behind the pomp and public ceremonies, the monarchy endures through trust, devotion, and the intimate bonds carefully nurtured away from the world's gaze. So, what do you think about gifting Balmoral Castle to Lady Louise? Could it mean the Queen is shaping the monarchy's future? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.